Some time back, I got interviewed by this documentary maker who'd come from Austria. And the topic was overpopulation, and his position was that there were too many people in the world. And when you carefully look at the documentary, you'll see that the too many people in the world that he was talking about are black people or non European people. So the whole documentary tries to show how there are more non-Europeans than Europeans. So we know that they're freaking out, they're really losing their minds over the idea that they will be exceeded by other populations, which means that global power will move from the West into a different area. Now, what is really worrying for them is the idea that Africa will eventually, by 2050, if all factors hold constant, Africa will end up having about 2 billion people. Now, this is worrying to them, and they consider the African population growth to be an existential threat to them. Because with 2 billion people, it means that by default, Africa becomes the center of the planet just by having that many people. So, they've been going on about African population growth for a long time. So, this filmmaker contacts me, and he's like, I want to do an interview with you. And he was contacting me because he'd read my book. I'd written a book when I was 19 years old. When I was 18 and 19 years old, I wrote a book. And the position that I took in that book is that Africa is underdeveloped because we have few people. Like, we don't have economies of scale because the population is so low in so many African countries that you only develop much wealth if you reach a certain population threshold. So at that time, we hadn't reached that population threshold. So my position was that we need to increase our population in Africa rather than decrease it. So he felt that that was not correct. So he decided to interview me. So he came all the way to Kenya, and we had this conversation. So that's the context of this little clip. And I can't put any sound on it, obviously, because of copyright reasons. But if you want, you can check out his documentary and see the position he's taking. And the position he's taking for me is very wrong, because he's saying that poverty is caused by overpopulation. And my position is that poverty is caused by factors other than overpopulation. And in the case of Kenya and Africa, a lot of the poverty is caused by underpopulation. That's how I feel anyway. At that time, that was, some time back. So hopefully you'll check out his documentary, and maybe you'll agree with his conclusions, maybe you'll not. But my own conclusion is that the poverty that we witness in Kenya is inflicted by the elite or by the government because they take instructions from the West. And currently, the policy of the government of Kenya is deindustrialization. They do everything to prevent the growth and rise of industries in Kenya by having a very self-destructive import policy, whereby if you start a small factory, the government will not protect your factory. Let's say you're going to start a nail-making factory. The government will not stop nails being imported from China or other places, which means they will swamp the market and you won't be able to survive. So the policy is, determined to benefit foreigners rather than to benefit locals. So that's my position when we are talking about why are we so poor. It's self-inflicted. Now, when you look at institutions like the CBK, the Central Bank of Kenya, when you look at their fiscal and monetary policies, they come directly from the West, and they are carefully calculated to keep the population as poor as possible, as indigent as possible, as frustrated financially as possible. This is intentional, and it's not by mistake. This is part of the policies that the elite of Kenya, the children of the home guards, pursue in order to please the West. For some reason, the Kenyan elite feels a very strong need to keep the Mzungu happy. So when you look at the investment that are done in Kenya, that are encouraged in Kenya, they're usually geared to benefit foreigners. So we say for the economy of Kenya, it's an externally responsive economy. It's not internally responsive. So you'll see that we have constant famines and high food prices. Why? Because a vast amount of arable land in Kenya is dedicated to production to serve foreigners. When you go to places like Kericho, you'll find huge amounts of land growing crops that you cannot eat, non-edible crops like tea, like coffee. When you go to Naivasha, you'll see vast amounts of land dedicated to growing flowers, non-edible crops, because the entire economy is geared to serve the foreigner. It's the foreigner who wants that tea. It's the foreigner who wants those flowers. But it comes at the cost of food production. So constantly we have famines in Kenya, and people don't understand why we have all these famines in Kenya. So the Mzungu is able to show up and say, you're having famines because there's too many of you. That's not true. We're having famines because too much land is dedicated to crops that are non-edible. You go to other places, you'll see them growing sisal. You'll see them growing all sorts of crops that you cannot eat. You see, so the entire economy is skewed to serve external interests, never to serve the internal market. We are just, by the way, all the best production, even when it comes to food crops like fruits, all the best production is exported. We are left with the bad, the bad quality fruit. So as long as the economy is skewed that way, then of course we'll have famine. So the famine is not the result of overpopulation. It has everything to do with an economy that the government has carefully designed to serve foreigners and never to serve us. So ultimately that's the source of the poverty and the famines. So when they tell you, oh, people are starving because it did not rain, this is not honest. This is not true. It is very disingenuous of the government to claim that it is the failure of rains that is leading to food shortage. No, it's the dedication of millions of acres of land to non-edible crops. So my position is that we need to increase our population. We need more people. We need to be at 80 million. That's a good number, because at that number you can sustain very easily very many domestic industries, such as chemical, iron and steel, car manufacturing, all sorts of things at that population point, because the population itself is the economy. If you have like 1 million people, that's a very tiny economy. And in Africa we see even countries with very small populations, in fact the poverty levels tend to be higher rather than lower. You see, because they don't benefit from economies of scale. So this Mzungu director, filmmaker, he wanted to push the idea that there's too many Africans, and we have to debunk every single time they come with that overpopulation propaganda. The only reason they come up with it is because they are strongly worried that they're losing global power. They're being exceeded by countries that they despise. And the countries that are most despised, obviously, are African countries. So that's why they keep on pushing this propaganda, and, with our elite, our sellout elite, colluding with them to try and reduce our numbers. So I'm against that. So I hope you check out that documentary. Hopefully you learned something from it.
Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe and comment below. Kenya's time has come. Our time has come. Your time has come. A time to succeed and not fail. A time to grow wealth and not poverty. A time to go up and not down. It's time for you to stop walking and drive your car. Stop renting and buy yourself a house. It's your time to get blessed. Join the CCV movement and together let us kick poverty and unemployment out of Kenya. Become a member today. Donate what you can. And remember that the CCV is the only political organization in Kenya that is squarely built upon Christian values, unlike the rest. We'll see you next time. Thank you.